Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to this event entitled Local Governance Models to Mitigate Land Degradation. I'm Mirinja Janatenain. I'm the moderator of this event. I'm the lead of UNCCD at GTCC, which is a group of actors in Madagascar working on the three conventions of Rio. I'm also the founder and the CEO of March NGO, working on climate and green technology transfer. Above all, before we begin with, on the behalf of Madagascar, I'd like to thank the CGIAR for giving us the opportunity to organize this event here. Thank you so much. Now, I'd like to introduce you our panel. Would you mind standing up while I introduce you so that the audience could see who you are? Mrs. Hunt Nyena who is the focal point of MUN's project at the Ministry of Environment and Sustainable Development. She is the reference for reforestation in Madagascar, representative of Madagascar in the World Soil Partners Group. She's also the initiator of fire monitoring. Then we have Mrs. Ekta Buderlik. She is the national coordinator of government relations and the regional facilitator for Sub-Saharan Africa and Indian Ocean Islands for Heartfulness Institute. Then Mr. Riantsumia Zarfelu Ranjianatenain. He is the founder of Avidzur Madagascar, a youth-led think and action tank promoting climate resilience and combating desertification. Last but not least, Mr. Rasuanarivu Harliv. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Tanmeva Foundation, Madagascar. As for the virtual speakers, we have Rasam Manana Rakutwarson Faravulul. She's the founder and member of the board of directors of the Industrial Waste Treatment Fluid Environment Company. She's also the member of the board of the Environment and Sustainable Development Commission of an association of private sector called FIVPAMA. When talking about Madagascar, we often heard about hotspot biodiversity, tropical forests. What else? Malagasy people are blessed with generous nature. But when you go to the south of Madagascar, believe me, you will be disappointed. Why? Because the southern part of Madagascar is suffering from droughts, land degradation. And if nothing is done, we go straight away to the desert. Through this event, then we will showcase what we have done so far in terms of land degradation mitigation. We will share approaches, experiences, solutions, and models of local governance. Now I'll bring you to the southern Madagascar through this video so that you could see the real setting. Please, the video.
Madagascar, première nation au monde confrontée à une famine d'origine climatique selon le Programme alimentaire mondial, est en première ligne face aux conséquences du réchauffement climatique. Près de 1,3 million de personnes sont en situation d'insécurité alimentaire aiguë dans le Grand Sud, une région déjà fragilisée par des décennies de sécheresse récurrentes. Face à cette urgence, le gouvernement malagasy, en partenariat avec la Banque mondiale, a lancé le programme Myunj. Ce projet ambitieux vise à renforcer la résilience des populations locales en investissant 200 millions de dollars dans des initiatives visant à restaurer les écosystèmes, améliorer l'accès à l'eau et développer des activités économiques durables. En impliquant directement une population de 225 communes réparties sur 14 districts du Grand Sud, nous espère non seulement atténuer les effets de la crise actuelle, mais aussi construire un avenir plus sûr et prospère pour les générations futures.
Nous avons une approche 4 donc les personnes qui sont impliquées dans ce projet dans les 3 régions du Sud travaillent pour lutter contre le changement climatique, pour protéger l'environnement. Ça veut dire qu'auparavant, ces personnes pouvaient être des causes de la dégradation de l'environnement, des causes anthropiques, et nous avons changé ce paradigme. Aujourd'hui, ces personnes travaillent pour protéger l'environnement.
Depuis le lancement du projet, 686 hectares de dunes ont été restaurés grâce à la collaboration avec les villageois. Des techniques de fixation des sables, incluant l'utilisation de brise-vent aux matériaux végétaux locaux et la fixation biologique avec des plantes comme le sisal, ont permis de stabiliser les dunes. Une réalisation colossale que la population seule n'aurait pas pu accomplir. Le bois de chauffe et le charbon traditionnel, essentiels mais de plus en plus rares dans plusieurs régions de la Grande Île, font l'objet de recherches menées par le gouvernement pour trouver des alternatives en tant que principale source d'énergie domestique. Dans l'optique d'y remédier, le projet MOOS a lancé un processus de reforestation dans la région en implantant une pépinière de bois local. Le bois planté mettra du temps à pousser, mais en attendant, la population a besoin d'une source d'énergie fiable et durable. Alors que 97% des foyers malagasy dépendent actuellement du charbon comme source d'énergie principale, le projet MOOS a formé les villageois à fabriquer du charbon vert écologique à partir des herbes locales. Ainsi, le projet a permis à la population locale de produire du charbon vert en utilisant des résidus biodégradables et l'herbe disponible sur place. Ils font ainsi une alternative plus responsable et accessible.
Sur le long terme, c'est bien sûr l'impact environnemental de tous ces projets, que ce soit la fixation des dunes, les reboisements à grande échelle, les reboisements chez les paysans, les reboisements en termes d'agroforesterie avec nos partenaires. Ce sont des projets qui vont améliorer la vie quotidienne des populations locales et répondre aux besoins de la population malagasy, tout en protégeant l'environnement, en travaillant avec la nature plutôt qu'aller contre la nature.
Thank you. Hunter Safnjahant, she's working on the MOONS project that you could see in this video. She will show us what is a resilient landscape. I give you the floor, Hunter.
Thank you, Mirinja, to give me a speak. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this side event. And after the video, you can see what happened in sit. Madagascar, land degradation in Madagascar. We have many causes, many source of this degradation. But the main is the use of fires to practice agriculture. This is the lack of land cover, and there is also natural causes such as wind and heavy rain in the south of Madagascar. We can see that. And the result of this degradation is more than 10 tons per hectare of soil in Madagascar are lost each year on unprotected slopes of cultivated lands on the highlands of Madagascar. So there are many negative impacts of this usually practice, not good, but used by rural people in Madagascar. There is deforestation, loss of arable land by silting, food insufficiency, desertification, and climate change. And Madagascar commitment to sustainable land management have committed to achieving land degradation neutrality by 2040, such as improve productively and carbon stocks in cultivated areas and grazing areas. Second, to improve green infrastructure coverage, like we see a reduced conversion of forests to other types of vegetation covered by 2040. The last reduced the conversion of wetland to other type of vegetation covered by 2040. We have many approaches to sustainable land management applied in Madagascar now. The first, there are many project approach like Mionzu project. And second, there is community approach, and at last, the private approach. For technical improvement in land, we do agricultural firewall, use landscape approach to combat on desertification, and choose target of farmer planting food crops, and the process of legal land security. Second, technical is agroecology. Agroecology is permanent ground cover. We use two nitrogen-rich leguminous plant, live or dead cover without tillage. We are use also planting of leguminous tree species associated with undergrowth. The first technical we use in Madagascar is stabilization of sandstone to protect agricultural area. We are see before, and we do also large scale of reforestation, agroforestry, and windbreak technical. For landscape restoration, in highland of Madagascar, we use different techniques from institutional developing and capacity building, implementation of sustainable land management techniques, and knowledge management. For agroecology, this case is applied on west of Madagascar. Local communities is the base of all activities we do in rural in rural place. This agroecologies we do with observation and of degraded land areas of forestation, and we do meeting with local communities before practical all technique of agroecology. And in the south of Madagascar, the approach is based on community local identification of of their need, their problems before identifying plant, before identify activities, before identify how to do, how to plant, how to combat on fire, how to practice technical adapted with the region, arid region. So we do green belt in Andrui region on agriculture to protect agriculture area. We do sun fixation methods and windbreak on open space. Also, don't forget the large-scale reforestation with species specially adapted in arid region. For Madagascar, management of degraded land in the East Coast is doing with private such as society, many society to do something to protect soil. So with this private sector, we need legal step on land statute, but collaborating with a community local is very important to have a success. We must integrate social local. And finally, implementation of soil restoration is working with local population. For the outlook, we have a free outlook. The first is development of sustainable management framework for Madagascar. It is to use sustainable land management strategy establishing and a national soil management directive to establish only. The second is scaling up the best practice on the same condition. So in the highland or eastland or westland or southland. The fourth is the last is development of regulatory text relating to the protection and sustainable development. It needs to effective enforcement of fire management laws and establishment of specific tests on wetland for other purpose. So thank you for all.
Thank you, Hanch. Hanch mentioned that green infrastructure is among the objectives for a resilient landscape. Now, I'd like to invite Ekta to share their experiences in India from India on green infrastructure and technology that would be applicable for the case of Madagascar.
Thank you so much, Mirinda. And it was nice to listen to Hans, who has already visited us in India to see what we have done in a very small space compared to a whole country like Madagascar. What you saw in the first video was rather a disaster. I think none of us want to see it anywhere in the world. So it really moves us to see that Madagascar, which is a country which has such a high intensity of endemic flora and fauna, can be subject to such treatment, right? So we need to take steps to do something about it. And what we have done in India, we would like to share with Madagascar so that, I mean, not just Madagascar, but with any nation that's ready to take it up, how it can change. So we have Kamlesh D. Patel, who's also known as Daji, who is the leader on the spiritual guide of our work in India, in a place called Kanha Shantivanam, which is in the heart of India in Hyderabad. Now, what he did when we acquired this 1,200 acres of land was to imagine, was to envision, was to see a possibility of something green on a land which was completely barren. Now, saying that we're going to see something green on a land that is barren is something, it's pretty common now. Everybody says that. But it's not just creating green, it's creating a community, it's creating life in all its aspects. And that includes human life. That includes governance in such a way that people feel inspired to do it. Not just planting trees, because I've seen in India huge projects where they plant trees and forget about it, right? So governance of that sort is not what is required, especially in a place like Madagascar, where you have so many possibilities, but hardly any resources, right? So we need to look at something that can be carried by the people without having to tell them to do it. And that's what we did in Kanha Shantivanam. His vision, this man, Daji, his vision touched people's hearts. So it was very much human to human. Okay, so when somebody gives you a vision which is like this, and it speaks to you, because we are a community who are also into meditation, yoga, spirituality, living with nature. So when we created something of a holistic nature, where we have a spiritual economy, a circular economy, we have an ecological economy, we create a lifestyle every single day. So what we want to share with Madagascar is to create a Kanha Shantivanam in Madagascar, which can then spread all over the country in a typically Malgache manner. I cannot translate India into Madagascar, not possible. Madagascar has to have its culture, absorb this idea and make it its own. So we started with water. We brought the water back to the land, which was a completely barren land. When we bought the land, 1,200 acres of land, which was absolutely barren. I think there were hardly 15 trees there. We conducted huge, massive work with volunteers. It was not even people who came from outside. We guys worked with our own hands. We planted trees. Today, there are 1 million trees planted on that place. In just less than 300 acres, we have 1 million trees. And we brought the water. So the water, when it started collecting properly, the water table went from 800 feet, sometimes almost 1,200 feet, back to 10, 30, 40, 50 feet. So abundance of water, the soil is regenerated through biochar, several practices, in fact. We have even things like plasma water, which we have applied, which is a new technology. We have seen, the complete recycling of our topsoil. And now we are planting without having to worry. Earlier, we used to bring, there was hardly any water. When visitors would come to our place, we'd say, bring a bottle of water in your car with you. Okay. And then put it on the plants, which you have planted. And the other thing was, people felt that the plants were their own because they planted them. You cannot have people coming, I'm sorry to say, but yesterday I was in the Chinese pavilion and they have a fantastic technology of a robot planting trees. The technology looks beautiful, but it's not, for me, it's not sustainable. You know what we do in Kanha Shantivanam? We ask children to sit in front of the tree and send loving thoughts to the tree after planting them. And the children visit their tree very often to give the tree a feeling of love. And it works because the child feels responsible for the tree. You see, so you're talking about desertification. It started with a few human beings treating the land badly. It did not start on a large scale tsunami. So we are trying to change people's thoughts, people's mindset, people's hearts. We are the biggest meditation hall that, in fact, if we have time and even maybe afterwards, we could show a video, which I don't want it to be part of this thing, but later on, if before going, I'll see if they can show a video of what we have done there. So my understanding is mitigating land deforestation comes through a governance which comes from the heart of the people. When people want governance, it's different. They say, guide us, we'll show you what to do. And teaching a person, so our first campaign was each one teach one to plant one, right? Each one. So it's not about you planting a tree, it's about you also telling her how to plant a tree and she's teaching her. So the chain of wisdom will grow. And do you know that trees speak to each other through their roots? Lot of research has been made now. Humans connect with the heart and with feelings, but trees speak to each other through their roots. We don't pay attention to this when we bring reforms and policies. You talk to the UN about this, they'll say like something's pretty wrong in the way you're doing this. But come to Kanha Shantivanam, I'd love to invite you there. Stay with us for a few days. You'll see what planting trees in that manner can do. None of us want to cut even a branch of the tree. So you can't stop the fires, but you can jolly well start with the person's hearts and taking those values to school, teaching the children. So it is one day at a time. It's one drop at a time. I know it sounds difficult and maybe we could use robots, but I think the best is to use human hearts to think for the planet, to feel inside that we want this change to happen. Because the World Bank will finance Madagascar. People like India are ready to pass on all our technology and the way we have done it. But who is going to do it? It's Madagascar, right? So we need to create policies which are human policies, humane policies, right? Not policies made by somebody in the UN sitting in France or in Nairobi and saying this is how Madagascar should behave. Doesn't work. Right? This is what we've done in Kanha Shantivanam. We've created a very simple prototype of, I would say it's an inspiration, it's a movement, it's a blueprint for a harmonious and sustainable future. It embodies Daji's profound message that real transformation starts with thoughts which translate into action. And this guidance that he's giving when spirituality meets sustainability, when deep meditative states of peace and calm can carry projects and movements, the possibilities are endless. I think we're just starting to do what? Today, the government of India has asked us to do 30 projects in India. And we say, no, we would like to also work with Madagascar because that's where our heart is. In Madagascar, Heartfulness, that is our organization, has one of the oldest centers of meditation and yoga, which goes back 30 years. Right? So this is how it all started. And this is where we are planning and coming together to work. So Kanha is a living testament that miracles can happen when human thoughts can align with nature's rhythms. It's as simple as that. We got to get involved. We got to feel. And when trees can share the strength through their roots, we also can create a world of vitality and balance. The future is not a dream. It's happening in Kanha. Honestly, just come and be with us to show you how it works. Okay. And we're very happy to collaborate and show how actual governance for proper mitigation of land deforestation can happen through the way we've done it. It's a small project, but I know we can scale it because that's what we are in the process of doing. And it's absolutely cost effective to a level where people can say, wow, I didn't even think that such cost effectiveness is possible. So that's what I'd like to contribute for the moment. Thank you.
And thank you, Ekta, for this inspiring sharing. Yes, I was inspired. Normally, Riansu comes after you, but after listening to your intervention, I want you to listen to Far. There is a link to yes to what, but with another angle. Let's listen to her. May we have the speaker on who is in virtual, who is online now, please. Sorry for because in the run-off show it should be Riansu who should speak after Ekta, but after listening to her, I want to change. I don't want to broke the feeling.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I am Farah, Board of Environment and Sustainable Development Commission in FIFPAMA. FIFPAMA is an association of employers of Malagasy small and medium enterprises whose mission is to promote the active participation of its members and the informal sector in the economic and life of social life of Madagascar. So the context is in Madagascar, more than 75% of the population lives in rural areas where agriculture, livestock, and fishing are the main activities. Agriculture yields are low due to land tenure problems and rudimentary agricultural practices, leading to land degradation in the face of climate change. And the rural population is underconnected and isolated due to a lack of infrastructure. With globalization, a number of techniques and concepts are being introduced to preserve natural resources. And one of the government's flagship programs is ODOF. ODOF, one district, one factory, to bring rural areas out of their isolations. This highlights the importance of knowing each area, its history and customs, and enhancing local products while preserving its resources. So my session objectives are, first, we are a people of oral, not written transmission, and also a people respectful of Zanahari, the creator and his works. Our interest is to highlight the traditions and their impact of the preservation of nourishing land in order to mitigate soil degradation. We will be able to find this in proverbs, tales, and legends. 2, the traditions will enable us to appropriate and preserve this land with its origins and value the human capital within us. First, the work around this research is a vector for several sources of wealth creating activities based on local products, whether in ecotourism, literature, conservation, agriculture, art, teaching, and many others innovations in the face of climate alarms. And 4, this will mitigate migration, encourage return to the source, and facilitate the integration of various entrepreneur support programs from the government and all stakeholders. The key outcomes can be: one, valuing habits and customs is not just unique to Madagascar, and they enhance the human capital that has been lost and damaged by climate change. Second, it is in the interest for developing countries to share their experiences in this area and to bring together the benefits to be gained from the degradation of land and natural resources and to mitigate desertification. Third, in this way, the creation of wealth around the theme of tradition is a virtuous cycle, changing the exploitation model of the rural world into a provider of operators proud of their local values. So I think developing research about traditional values would enhance environment with an international center like CGIAR is another way to mobilize Green Climate Fund for changing the paradigm. Thank you.
Thank you, Farah, for teaching and emphasis on traditional values, which is a vector of the conservation and restoration of degraded lands. As we talk about local, well, when talking about resilient governance, we should consider inclusive approach to ensure its effectiveness. Madagascar is faced by young population, so youth play the major role in it. Now, let's listen to Rianzu speaking about youth-led, multidimensional, and sustainable approaches and initiatives within communities. The floor is over you.
Thank you, Mirinj, for giving me the floor. And it will be a little bit difficult to speak after all those inspiring women talking about those incredible initiatives around land degradation. So I would like to say first, since we are talking about the youth, like how important youth initiatives in this land degradation initiatives. First, I may ask a question. Do you know how many % of the Malagasy populations are youth? Well, 60, maybe less, around 55. Yes, according to our data, we have more than 50% of Malagasy population under the age of 20 years old, which means that around 15 million of young people out of a total of 30 million. So in that case, we can say first that youth can either be a driving force for positive change, but also a challenge, and maybe an abandoned youth will be a wasted future. But that's why we are here to say, yes, let's engage with young people, because young people are the future. And let's say that an informed, educated, and engaged youth can become the beacon of hope, like driving the sustainable development in Madagascar. And when it comes to be inclusive and sustainable development, the thought and the actions of young people cannot be overlooked. We must consider them. And sustainable development, let's say, it always often says that like a trend or buzzwords nowadays, but including these topics in Madagascar, let's say, is a really matter of a survival. It's a matter of survival. 71% of population relies on the land, and environmental degradation is a root cause of immense suffering and countless lives lost. I just said this morning, but I would like to re-say it this afternoon, that land degradation in Madagascar is not just an environmental challenge, but it's a profound loss of life, identity, and culture for the Malagasy people. Why? Because land degradation, we have migration, we have problem of agriculture. So that's all the life of the people. As we all know that Madagascar is really attached to its land. So it's a culture loss. For me, acting for Madagascar is not just taking an action for Madagascar, but let's say it's also reflecting on how to build a resilient community and system that drive just, equitable, and sustainable change. And with this vision in mind, I just created Avidzor Madagascar, which is this think and action tank that brings together like 12 staff members nowadays and 40 dedicated volunteers to address this critical challenge of sustainable development in Madagascar. I heard before that there are some free approaches that we use with Myonzu projects. Like we have the project, we have the community, and we have the private approach. In at Avidzor Madagascar, we are promoting two main approaches, which are community approach and the private approach. As we are discussing soil degradation and restoration, Avidzor Madagascar plays a crucial role in promoting agroecology and effective reforestation practices. All our efforts align with the national framework. We cannot go beyond that. And we are concentrated in Analamang, which means the capital region of Madagascar nowadays, but we are planning to go through another part of Madagascar since, let's say, I will not say that until we are done with Antananarivo, but we will go through it since we have the possibility to do it. So in our projects, I would say that we adopt an holistic and multidisciplinary approach. I really love the way you discuss about how you drive it, the methodology. I think it's very inspiring, and we can both work together on that. And I think that for Avidzor Madagascar, every initiative begins first with research and mobilizing university graduates under the guidance of experts, of course, and to study and analyze the projects to make it happen. And then we incorporate this social dimension. It's really important for us. Like, how can we integrate this education? How can we talk about economic development? And how can we talk about governance in general? So we are working closely with local authorities. We're also including like the Fukuntan leaders, the people at the ground level, the mayors, and also the community influencers. All that to ensure just that all actions are community driven and inclusive, which is very important. And for us, addressing just one pillar of the sustainable development, let's say, for example, just environment, is like a nonsense approach. But for us, it is really important to add to make it simultaneously like economical things, environmental pillar, and also social pillar. For example, in our agroecology projects, we directly integrate the environmental education to emphasize the importance of these agroecological practices and the sustainable energy like water management. And for that, we're working with children. We're doing this education to children so that they really understand why are we promoting these practices, and so they could directly influence their parents and the men mostly, which are the most implies in the projects of agriculture in Madagascar. And additionally, we also support a sustainable economic model through the sale of healthy agricultural products. Because when we are doing our experimental phase, I think that this model has shown a promising result, and we want to scale up it to the near future. Like it is important to have the background and to have an economic model in which we can really sell the product from the agroecology, because it can be the production could be, let's say, could cost higher, but how can we find a better way to sell our product, which is very important to work with communities. And I would like to also explain that for the environmental experimentation, we are using the Mexican sunflowers, and we are working closely with universities to make it to conduct the research on it and to prove part of our experimentation that it is a really way to go forward from this land degradation in Madagascar. Allow me to talk more about our reforestation action, because it is also one of the most important action that we drive for this land degradation. So we actively involve with communities on this fact. So we are working with civil societies, actors, we are working schools, with business collaborate to implement the projects. So the goal is to drive a collective action, always a collective action. And for that, as our experience, we draw for our current projects, we had 97% of survival rate for the planted trees within the first 3 months. And then at 1 year, we had like 95%. Also proving that science is important and youth projects should include the science on it. Like, how can we include all the people inside and the science all together? And the CSO is doing the work to drive all this in the local communities. Yeah, I think that's all I can say now, since I'm explaining how are we doing the projects, what is the methodology, and also how could be the impact by working with young people. So thank you.
Awesome. I could draw out that human capital is the heart of the implementation of our actions. But on the other hand, don't forget that it's also the generator of the implementation is also funding. Now, which is a key element of a governance system. I think you all agree with me with that. Now, I'd like to invite Harliv to present us the model of conservation trust funds and institutional development standards at the level of community organizations.
Thank you, Miranda, for giving me the floor. Then, as you said, pound, money, this is the heart of the world. Then, this is crucial, and I think everything needs money. When we talk about local governance to mitigate land degradation, as a conservation trust fund, we intervene also 100% on it. Then how we work and how we do differently, looking, comparing to traditional mechanism of financing local governance and development. Then as a conservation trust fund, our mission is to manage funds. This is the difference between NGOs, between projects. We are there just to manage funds. We don't implement directly the project in the field. Then how we do? In Madagascar, we work firstly at strategic level. We work with government. We are at this moment technical and financial partner of the Ministry of Environment and Sustainable Development in Madagascar. Then we provide institutional development for the ministry, but in the oversight, the ministry provides us also institutional development and advice for the Conservation Trust Fund. For example, to give us the advice where we can leverage funds, where we can find more partnership. The second aspect is we prioritized our intervention zone. As you heard in the movies, the guys told about Tanmeva Foundation. I come from the Tanmeva Foundation. We work with the ministry, with the government to fund the activities and to work with the MUNT project to support the community to implement the MUNT project in the field. Then we prioritize where we work to ensure that our work have better impact in the field. Then we provide funds for local community organization. Our particularity as foundation in Madagascar is that we finance only community. Then when we talk about local governance, we provide funds for local community organization to ensure that they participate largely in the improvement of local government, to participate in local development activities. Then we finance local community organizations for 5 years. And we ensure that 85% of our funds come directly to the communities. At global level, the challenge is that we have only 20% of development fund coming directly to the community. Yesterday, our minister said that only 0.5 of funds come to the grassroots level. We try to ensure that 85% come directly to the community. This is one of our particularity, how we do and what we do differently. Then we develop also synergy, complementarity with one side stakeholders. Then we work with local institutions, we work with local authorities, because when we talked about governance, local governance, we have to have in the heart of the development, the commune, the local authorities. Then we develop also partnership with private sector. Why? At global level, the second challenge is how to engage private sector on natural resource management, on land governance, and on land degradation. For example, we develop in Madagascar that we are the 5th countries using the green credit card. You have your credit card in your pocket. When you use it, you pay fees for the bank. But these fees will constitute a capital in the bank for the natural resource management, for land management that we use and we give to the community. We don't give all the money. This is the capital, but we use the interest of a capital to finance local activities for land degradation. Now we are implementing the green manufacturing funds with industry to involve more private sector and to ensure that there is available funds for local community organization. And the last but not least, we design, we create, and we establish tools for local community organization. As you can see in your seat, we have the standard, institutional development standard for local community organization. This is the first in the world, the first, and it was endorsed by HAC, the High Ambition Coalition, to reach out 30 by 30 for the GBF. It was endorsed also by Nature Conservancy to be used for local community organization. Why? Because we saw that during our 20 and more years of experiences, we saw that the capacity of local community organization is the key aspect. If you want to ensure sustainability, you want to ensure appropriation, you have to strengthen the capacity of local organization. Then in these tools, you can have 4 areas of capacity: the governance, this is crucial, local capacity, organization governance, technical capacity, management capacity, and then gender and social equity capacity. Then if they have the basis of those capacity, we can ensure that after 5 years that we finance the local organization, we can ensure that there is something that they can do beyond the project, beyond the financing cycle. They can develop partnership to leverage funds. They can work alone without external funds. This is one of crucial activities. Then to conclude, I want to talk about CTF. Do you know that CTF is the link between global funds and local capacity? Why? We don't take management fees for funds. It's not like international NGOs, national NGOs, 30% for management fees. No, CTF doesn't do this. The second one is that we have a capacity to adapt our approach to the needs of a community because we are in the field. We don't implement directly the project, but we are present in the field to monitor and to ensure that the funds is used by the community according to their project. The third one is about governance mechanism. At international level, CTF has that we call the standards, CTF standard that all CTF in the world use. Then we, as Tanime Foundation, as you can see in your seat also, we follow this standard, international standard. You can see, for example, our policy of safeguarding and environmental social policy. We have to use this. We have to implement this. Then we have a strong governance to manage the funds. And the last is that conservation trust funds have their own funds to add funds from donors. Then we had the possibility to finance projects, to add money for the local community, to improve the local governance, for natural resource management, and for land degradation and fight against desertification. Thank you.
Now I have some questions, not for all of you, but to begin with, it's not a question, but for Far, I'd like to ask you to just share a concrete example highlighting the impacts of traditional values on land restoration and conservation. Far, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mirinda. I have no time in 3 minutes to explain with you my experiences in the field, but I have prepared for you some example of proverb and tales and legend, because Madagascar is full of traditional quotes, proverb, tales, and legend that highlight the importance of preserving nature and the environment. So the first, tany lemaka no sartadiavina fa niala ianjera tsy iatsangana. The plain is hard to find, but a fallen forest is impossible to raise. This highlighted the importance of preserving forests, because once destroyed, they are extremely difficult to restore. Second, Azalamna nitany fanitanana no alamna. Don't change the earth, but correct your actions. A call to respect nature and adapt your behavior to live in harmony with it. Third, ny biby tsy mba manana fanahy fa ny olombanina manana saina. Animals have no souls, but humans have reason. This proverb encourages humans to use their intelligence to protect living beings and their environment. Aza tia ho anao irery ny soa fa zarao amin'ny hafa. Don't keep all the good for yourself alone. Share it with others. Apply to the environment. This invites us to manage natural resources equitably and sustainably. Another tales, Azundrazan, legend of a sacred tree. In certain regions of Madagascar, there are sacred trees such as the banyan or baobab, which are considered to be the homes of ancestral spirits. According to legend, cutting down these trees without authorization of the appropriate ritual can provoke the wrath of the ancestors and bring misfortune to the village. This story teaches respect for trees and their central role in ecological balance. The crocodile and men. In many parts of Madagascar.
Excuse me, Far,
Yeah.
to stop you there.
Yes.
At any note of time, I've just asked for an example, and
yes,
they are enough. And thank you for teaching us how to use our saying. Now we know how to.
So I just tell one thing by promoting these stories and proverb. Madagascar perpetuates a rich cultural tradition that can be a powerful tool for raising awareness of environmental protection and human
It's a problem of hair connection or us. It's hair, so we can go on. Now, Ekta, who to warrant the adoption of green infrastructure and technology, because they are a real issue worth considering. We could see that this is this green infrastructure or technologies. We know it's important, but when it's time to adopt it, no, people don't do it. So what's the secret? I don't mean the secret, but what's the warranty to make sure that that people adopt it?
Well, to be very pragmatic about it, what we have done is to enable people to do it. So the idea is to share skills. In our center, we have thousands of farmers, of teachers, of students, and of youth who come, and they are trained constantly all year round how to do these things. For example, there's active charcoal. So biochar. So we use biochar and we teach our people who come there how to make biochar and use it. I know in Madagascar, there is a lot of the forest fire problem, right? So I believe that if we can create simple models of passing on the knowledge, we can ensure that the technology spreads. Yes, so for example, like this biochar, so we have been able to get an open source model for creating biochar, which comes from Switzerland, created by the Atika Foundation. And we are showing farmers who come there how to actually be able to create the biochar in steps. So it takes a week of training. We go through it with them. We invite delegations from different countries and places to come and see how we do it. But India-wide, we have been doing our biochar technique, and then we have been putting it in place in several places so the farmers can see the difference between this and this. And locally, we work with state governments, we work with local farmer production markets to be able to see what is the production difference. And that is how, from one end to the other end, right from the time when the farmer comes to where we live in Kanashantivanam, we train them, and when we accompany the farmer till he goes back, and we see how they can work there easily. So a simple technology on how to create biocharcoal, put it back into the land, can be a follow-up work which can be done by different funding partners and of course us.
Thank you, thank you. Riansu, how can we strengthen youth engagement for better mobilization towards effective land restoration at the local level, and mainly through your experiences?
Okay. I would like to say first that youth are known by its enthusiasm first, like the boundless creativity and also the technical expertise that we need to work on with the experts. I think that driving projects like this is really interesting and need a lot of support. I think that's the one of the most important. This support can be like a technical support, like how can we really accompany the youth people to drive an effective projects, but also part of the most important, like the founding, like how can we gave effective funding to youth initiatives, which is a really important part of the fact that they also need to be strengthened in the capacity to manage the fund, and also to strengthen the capacity to really bring this technical expertise in the projects. And I hear it about the green credit card, for example. I think it's a very good idea. It's an amazing initiatives, and I think and I hope that young people, young youth organization can also profit from it. And yeah, this capacity building of the LCOs, I think it's also a very important thing. As I said before, like we also need to strengthen first the capacity of the youth organization, just to make sure that all the money that goes to it really bring impacts for the community. So I think that's the two principal points that we need. Yes, thank you.
I'd like to just add one thing. As far as the youth go, I think one should learn to trust them completely and enable them by believing in the innovation. So you support a youth in whatever he wants to do and give him full freedom and full trust. You've really created a new potential and let it off. And I think today we need to let them go and create the new world, right? This is my feeling. When I see you here, very excited.
Yeah.
Now we open the floor to the audience. So if you have any question, comment, or you want to share solutions, experiences, feel free to raise your hand. Yes.
So my question is to you. By the way, very inspiring work with the youth that you are doing, and it's building the future. But since you mentioned that you focus on three things: environmental, economic, and social, um, and you know all these three things affect each other. They are this. So what I'm wondering is, what are you thinking about? What are the social things? Out of all these, economics and environment, we understand, right? But what are the social things that you would like to work upon, and or are the problems that you would like to solve, and where they stem from, why are they stemming, and how can one solve?
I can directly interact. Okay. I think it really depends on the places in which we are implementing the projects. And that's why I said before that we always start with doing like some research on what will be the basis, the needs of the community or the place in which we are having our projects. And for example, in the place we have one of our projects, we are working with young people, we are working with children that are in some difficult situation. And for that, for us, the most important is the education. So that's the social things in the projects. Like the environmental one is the agroecology. The economic one is giving this business model for them to have money from it. And the social part of this project is mostly around education for sustainable development. Why? Because in the place we are working, there are a lot of initiatives that has already been applied. For example, we can talk about water management. We can talk about the solar system for having energy. And all this, when we are asking to the children, do you know how important are those initiatives that we can find in the place where you are? So they don't really get how important it is, but they're just happy that they have this. And I think that is the most important, is to make them understand first, why do we need what you have here, but not just following. And so once they know it, they can really take part of the change. Like they can also propose something like interesting or something like that. So it really depends on the place. And for example, for the reforestation projects, we are working with local communities. And for that, the environmental part is really the reforestation, of course. The economic part is the way that we are helping them to have some fruit plants to regenerate like money from it. But also the social one is the healthy products that we are giving to them. So yeah, that's the model that we would like to place anywhere we are going, like having a project that's always bring changes in economical, social, and environmental aspect.
Another question, comments? Everybody is happy? Yes, please.
Hello. Thank you. I'm really happy to be between all of you. This is my first time to come to COP16. I'm also a youth like him, but I got empowered by one group called Land Youth Negotiator Program. So I came through Land Youth Negotiator Program. So it's just like what he's explaining here, it's crucial and key to each and every nation's empowerment, especially when it comes to youth. I came from South Sudan, and I know you might be relevant about South Sudan, where South Sudan is located, and it's just a young nation. We are just clocking to 10 years or 11 years since we got our independence. So as a youth, what have achieved from Land Youth Negotiator Program is much more important than before what I would have achieved before. So I just want to add something a little bit here, that youth are the backbone of the nation. So when you empower youth, you have empowered nation. So I'm so glad that what my brother is doing here is actually empowering the leaders of tomorrow. And that is what we're supposed to do as a youth. And my brother over there, you actually contributing so much to the community, because what you're doing you're not doing only for the nation, but you're doing for each and everyone's betterment who are living in that nation. So I want to encourage youth is that when you as a youth, you not just not remain as a youth, but when you are being empowered, so try and work so closely with your government. Because when you try and work closely with your government, community inclusiveness, it interprets how useful you are to that nation. Why am I saying that? Because when you look at the government side, they are the decision makers. Now, you as a youth to be involved in the side of being a decision maker, so it means you need to relate yourself closely with them because they are the key, they are empowerment that you only get it from the old person. But you as a young person, when you remain outside, then you cannot be able to get these important ideas from them because they're going away. Then you are the future leaders of tomorrow. So I just want to say that I'm so happy to come and attend this. It's so innovative and it's so encouraging. And this is exactly the thing that I'm going to steal from here. And I'm going to go back with it to my nation and empower more nation to come after me. So thank you. I'm so glad.
Another comment? Last? Yes.
Thank you. I want just to react on our colleague said. You raise an important point, and you are totally right when you say that when we support, when we act, even at local, regional, national level, we don't work only for us, we work for our nation. And then I support also my colleague there when we support youth, because we know that the youth will be the future of this world, of our nations. That's why we tried as a Conservation Trust Fund, as founding mechanism to put youth as our priority. When we intervene in the field, we try always to put where is the place of youth. When you read, you can take the book when you go out, but when you read our policy, and I think for all environmental trust fund, conservation trust fund in the world, and all donors actually put an exigence and the request that the partners have this policy, social and environmental safeguard policy, which must include gender and particularly youth involvement. Then I think that this point must be raised at different level, not only at local, regional, but also and particularly at strategic level. I think thank you for this point. And then I want to tell you also, if you want to take the book, you can take it. There is different types. There is the policy, there is the norm, the standard that you can use. You can give us feedback how you use it, and there is also a strategic plan that you can find how we work. Thank you.
Well, we still have time for key message, but just 1 minute per panelist. 1 minute, I said. Just one point you want to stress on for a good local governance model. Okay, we will start with Hunt.
This is important, very important to do. Conviction of rural population is very important on local governance to combat desertification. And after, we need also understanding of the problem and solution proposed because in fact we have many solutions, but it's not adapted. Donc, we must understanding the problem, and I'm convinced of humanitarian uses and of change. It is very important to educate all population, beginning the children, the young, and the parents have a great responsibility with this education. They must have conviction to educate the children and the nation, the government, to put a founded to the education for before combat to the desertification.
Thank you, Aunt.
It was very interesting to hear everybody's perspective. What I feel today is it is necessary to work together. On our own, we can't make it. So whether it is South Sudan, who's just starting as a nation, whether it's Madagascar, India, or any other country in the world, never before has it been as important for humanity to come together as one. And today, I think the challenges are only as great as our capacity to come together. It requires one step for us to feel connected. We are connected, like the trees. They are connected. But we are not able to feel it. So Farah, who was talking about legends, about creating a new narrative, creating a new way to look at things, it can only come from our perspective to shift, and consciousness needs to shift. That is where heartfulness comes in, and we invite all of you to learn to integrate the practices that we can share with you as much as possible. So there's an open invitation from our side. And I believe today that there is a reason all of us are here. And that reason is because we can create something new together. Hope, I think, is a final word that I would like to share. It's really hope.
I think everything has already been said, but let's say the point where I would like to make a stress on is first that it is important that we raise awareness on the land degradation. It is really important. Secondly, I will say that let's put on the most effective guidance politics from the international level, which is also really important as international level. And I would like to say also that synergy, collaboration, that's the key as always in what we said. Like, how can we get involved with all the people? How can we be at, let's say, the most inclusive as possible? How to include women, young people, how to be in synergy with founders, with CSOs, with government, as you said. And I think that's all the, let's say, the most important thing of this session. And thank you for this invitation, really interesting.
Thank you. As we said every time, money is the sinews of the war. Then we as a Malagasy Conservation Trust Fund, we try to do our best, but we know that Madagascar is so big. We try to finance local community as we can do, but we can't finance all Madagascar community to improve local governance, to involve them, to empower them, to be able to participate in local decision, in local governance on natural resource management, on land management, on land degradation mitigation. Then Madagascar tried to be country of solution, country of actions. But as my colleague Hector said, we need to work together. We need to work together, and we request all stakeholders, all shareholders to support Conservation Trust Fund to leverage more capital. Why? I talk about Conservation Trust Fund, not the traditional mechanism of funding, because for Conservation Trust Fund, the fund's still there. Political crisis, COVID, everything's happened. Conservation Trust Fund still working, still founding in the field. No problem. Then a Conservation Trust Fund is when you talk about sustainable mechanism of funding, the Conservation Trust Fund is this mechanism, sustainable mechanism. Thank you.
Now the online speaker.
Yes, thank you. And just one thing, I agree with the idea to work together, like Hector said, saying, and it's very important by promoting this cultural tradition, arise identities, the human capital, especially for youth, and it is a powerful tool for raising awareness of environmental protection and to mitigate desertification. Thank you. It's my idea.
Thank you for all the panelists. So to put in a nutshell, a good local governance model for land degradation mitigation will consider these elements: resilient landscape, humanity capital, youth empowerment, green infrastructure and technology access through tradition and cultural values, inclusive and multidimensional approaches within youth implication, innovative tested. Thank you.